Army of the Dead is the latest film to be released from director Zack Snyder. Following the whirlwind of press coverage surrounding his cut of Justice League, which was released a few months ago, I was surprised to see relatively little in the way of advertising for this movie, so I went in blind and with few expectations. I find Snyder's films to be very hit or miss personally. Some of his films I would genuinely rank amongst my favourites, like Man of Steel, which I've talked about exhaustively in a previous video, and 300 and Watchmen. Others, like Sucker Punch and Batman v Superman, I would rank amongst my least favourites. It's so bizarre to me that a filmmaker like Snyder can have such a huge breadth of quality in his work, but following the success of his Justice League film, I was optimistic for Army of the Dead. And, unfortunately, the film did not work for me. I found the concept behind the film to be really interesting, and even stylistically, the graphic, almost comic book-esque violence worked well for that concept. The idea of the zombie outbreak being localised to one city, and the rest of the world remaining relatively untouched, made for a fantastic setting, and so the idea of breaking into that city to perform a heist before it would be wiped from the face of the earth was a fresh and unique spin on a tired subgenre of horror and action films. But despite the concept behind the film being so innovative for the genre, the content of the film itself was not. The heist team had all the typical roles you would expect, and none of the characters stood out or felt memorable in any way, with the exception of the helicopter pilot, which I attribute to being fantastically played by Tig Notaro, rather than anything remotely interesting being done with the character in the script. The dynamic between Dave Bautista's character and his daughter is one that you will have seen in countless other action films, and Snyder does little to make this drama interesting to watch. I understand that for a film like this, the character drama is not the main reason for watching, but it is essential for the characters to at least be somewhat engaging and memorable, or else the action portrayed on screen becomes bland and meaningless. Of this, the action itself was very blandly choreographed and felt markedly less kinetic or exciting to watch compared to Snyder's other films. I think part of this may be because of the titular faceless Army of the Dead. The antagonists, by virtue of their hoardish nature, do not present an intelligent threat to the team, and so much of the action revolves around shooting and stabbing in the same repetitive fashion. To Snyder's credit, he did attempt to imbue the zombies with more depth by introducing the concept of the Alphas, a group of key zombies who were faster, more intelligent and more invulnerable than the regular grunts. And like a lot of other facets in the film, I believe that these Alphas had a lot of potential, which was floundered. Almost paradoxically, I think a lot of this film would have worked better in the hands of another director, yet very few other directors would be able to find the right style for the film in the same way Snyder has. Certainly after the release of his cut of Justice League, he has positioned himself as more of an auteur filmmaker than before. Army of the Dead was not only directed by Snyder, but also co-produced and co-written, and it marks the first time he operated as director of photography in a feature film. By taking on all of these roles and assuming total creative control, we've been able to see his unadulterated, unfiltered filmmaking vision, and perhaps as expected, it is all style and very little substance. I struggled to wrap my head around the runtime of the film. Snyder has, over the years, become known for his long director's cuts, but for a film like this, I struggled to justify the 2.5 hour length. Admittedly, it doesn't feel long when you're watching it, but on reflection, I think an hour could have been trimmed out. The ensemble cast of heist team members is far too large, and as such there are numerous characters that don't feel as though they have a function in the mission other than to be zombie bait to allow the more important characters to survive. The film ends feeling unresolved. Part of this, I think rather cynically, may be to set up yet another zombie franchise in light of The Walking Dead's waning popularity, but it just left me feeling unsatisfied. Part of the appeal of the action comedy, or in this case horror action comedy, is to serve as mindless entertainment, and for a great many viewers this film probably fits that bill perfectly. However, I spent far too often wondering why certain characters did particular actions, or why some characters were even there at all, and rather than finishing the film satisfied that I'd been able to kill a couple of hours with some mindless but entertaining action, I just felt empty and wondered where the time had actually gone. What did you think of Army of the Dead? Do you agree, or did you enjoy it? I'd love to hear what you all thought in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this review, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more, but until next time, thanks.